Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Grace if you're new here, and this is the Rusty Thicket. Today we are going to work on these little trinket trays. They start out like this. I bought them at the store just like that. And then I had my Cricut cut out some circles. And we're just going to paint those and then glue them down and pour some resin or some diamond glaze on the top. I'll show you two different ways and how I made this. But before we get started, I do want to just kind of run you through my thought process on stuff like this. I'm always looking for new ways to be able to not just showcase my watercolor, but have useful purposes for the artwork itself. As an artist, it gets a little bit dull and boring, in my personal opinion, to just always be making prints and framing things and that's it. So I like to use mine. If you follow the channel, you know I put them in metal bookmark blanks. I've made keychains and earrings and necklaces and all kinds of stuff using just my watercolor creations and mostly resin, but you know, other stuff too. And I just wanted to kind of show two examples of this. This is a coaster with a nice little ledge here, which will be great for holding in resin or glue. I like to do that because obviously it puts a protective coat over the watercolor, so if it did get wet it wouldn't be as serious, but you know, you really shouldn't. And this is just a little trinket tray, but it might be in the bathroom or get sprayed when you're cleaning a window or something, so having the paper actually protected and not just glued down, you know, is the best option. But you know, you can find stuff like this all over the place. These are actually both from Daiso. One is an actual coaster. It just happens to have this nice lip. It came in this kind of bronzy color and black. And then this is actually listed as a trinket tray when I had the little like barcode on it, but it's got this hole in the top. I don't know if you can see that very well, but yeah, this hole right here. And I thought, you know, you could also hang that as like an ornament or something. You know, it kind of looks a little maybe industrial or something. This one is plastic and this one is metal. I do prefer the metal stuff, but I thought the plastic one might be fun just to play with later on. And then what I do is I take my micrometer, which is something that measures the inside of this for me. And then I tell the Cricut to cut perfect circles so I don't have to. And then we're just going to paint this today, and I'll kind of show you the process and a few of my finished pieces that I am putting together for my fall market, which is coming up in just a few days. The season starts. My big one, actually my really big one, probably isn't until November 4th, which is our 𝍊𝍊𝍊𝍊𝍊𝍊𝍊𝍊𝍊𝍊𝍊, which is really big for the artists and things. Our art department here on base puts it together, and last year it was phenomenal. We had such a good time. I'm gonna zoom this up for you guys so you can see some painting. This one is obviously more of a Halloween vibe because October is right around the corner. And my first event will be October 13th. We have an elementary school's PTO that is doing some trunk or treat events, and I am going to set up shop for a couple of hours and just kind of kick things off nice and slow for that season. This is my favorite. I can't wait. I'm really excited about Spooky Town, which is going to be the biggest one for October this year. And usually I'm, you know, really busting my booty trying to get a lot of this done, but I'm trying to take it a little less, not serious, just, you know, I'm not trying to kill myself this time because I planned it out a little bit better, but I'm still very busy. So I'm just gonna start with the skull and let him dry before I start building some layers. I really, really love Halloween for two reasons. Obviously the spooky stuff is great, but I get to change up my typical pieces, I guess. Like, I do love that a lot of Goblin Core is kind of more the, you know, the toads in the swamp kind of deal, and you know, it already sort of fits the Halloween vibe, but I love adding in skulls and pumpkins and crows in new ways, because usually I'm just trying to mostly have them be in nature and natural when it's with strictly Goblin Course stuff. But you know, this is fun to be able to put them all together. And these two colors are going to be very, very similar, but they're going to look totally different when I'm done with each one because they get different kinds of shading and all that kind of stuff. And actually, I'm going to kind of dab that down just a little bit. so while we're waiting for this to dry, I'm going to show you what we do for our next little step here. Zoom out a bit. So I'm actually going to use the diamond glaze for this part. I'm going to rough up the bottom of this with just a little bit of sandpaper for something to like grab onto a little extra, and put a light coat of this down, and then because I still need to do a couple little things here before we do it, but then I'm going to glue this down. And because these are metal, and another reason I like to use the metal ones specifically is because I'm going to use magnets to make sure that it stays pressed down. You could also use some kind of clamp or just something heavy to sit in it, but just make sure, you know, it's not touching the sides or anything if the glue happens to come out, and then, you know, glue to whatever it is you're sticking on top of it. But also you don't want to have so much glue on the edges that it looks like you can see it a whole lot, because then when you add the top layer, it will also be super noticeable. I'm already with like my trial run piece. I'm gonna have to figure out how to change that, I guess, because the first one I did, I'll show you right here, it was done with resin. And I mean, I kind of butchered it to begin with, but I don't know if you'll be able to see. There's some texture over here where I had too much resin and I was drying too fast, so it was creating a bubble down here in this section. When I change cameras, we might be able to see it better. But anyway, I'm just gonna hang on to it for myself and as a learning curve because lots of trial and error. Oh, you can kind of see it there over here in this corner. But we're gonna go ahead and glue this down. I've done a little doctoring. I fixed up his feet because they were looking really weird. I don't know what I was drawing when I drew that. So I've got some touching up to do still. So we're actually going to let that dry before we start doing our glue and go ahead and move on to one that I have pre-prepped for the top layer. All right, so as you can see here, like we talked about before, this one has been pre-done. The artwork is done. It's been glued down. It's been sitting in these with these magnets overnight. I did that just to be on the safe side. Usually the diamond glaze glue dries really quickly. This is the same glue that I use when I'm making my metal bookmarks, because it dries crystal clear. So even if you do get just a little bit off on the edges here, it's not a huge worry. Now typically I use the UV resin that I have for most of my like clear glass things that go on the top of the bookmarks, but I did do a trial run of a different one. I did all this yesterday. So today is actually a new day. But anyway, so this is the other one I did, and besides a couple of bubbles, which again, you know, I don't know that I'll be selling all of these. I'll probably take them to the market and see if anybody is interested in them at like a really discounted price than what I would normally do. I just have never done anything quite this large before. But I actually like the way that the diamond glaze did better. It's a better sheen to it, honestly, and it's probably because I don't have to have, like, I have to have so much of the UV resin and it's so thick that by the time I push it around, it's, you know, got some wave to it, and this actually will settle all flat. So that is what we're going to do. You have to be really careful not to shake this stuff. That's what causes the extra bubbles. But you want to put enough that there's not going to be any issue with, you know, closing the gaps and stuff. And then this is just like a little silicone tipped brush. I think it works best. It comes, the resin comes with its own little silicone type thing so that it doesn't, you know, stick to it over time. But this is one I actually got with like a polymer clay thing one time. So before I start to overwork it or anything, I am gonna let it sit and dry, and that is all there is to it, really. Just paint your painting, glue it down, make sure it has dried overnight, or at least for maybe about 8 hours or so, just to make sure. That also works really well when you are using the UV, because I feel like if the glue underneath is not 100% dry, the UV light will, you know, interact with that and create more bubbles. So, you know, that's another reason why maybe you might want to try the diamond glaze. And this is, you know, it's dimensional, so it will kind of like stick to your edges really easily. And I mean, honestly, like if you're just afraid or you don't want to get into UV resin, it is the best option besides resin. There's also Mod Podge makes like a 3-dimensional glue as well. My only concern with it really is that it's in such small bottles when I can find them in stores or on Amazon or whatever. So I just like having, you know, a larger amount, since I have to have stuff shipped to me so often as it is. But yeah, that's it. So if you guys have any questions, let me know, and I will catch you in the outro. All right, so we're back with this semi-finished piece that we started with. It's obviously been painted and it's been glued down. It is ready for its top coat. I am probably not going to do that in this video just because I've got some finished pieces I'm already going to show you guys. Really loving the ink cap mushrooms. It turned out just a little on the wavy side because of the resin, because I alternated trying to kind of see which one I thought worked better. I'm still kind of leaning towards the diamond glaze just because working with the resin with so much surface area seemed to be a lot more complicated. And then I've got a ghosty who turned out really cute. They're definitely not perfect. Would I buy them? Yes. I love things that just are a little bit, you know, imperfect. Will everybody else? I don't know. We'll put them up at the event and see. I don't really like the idea of selling less than perfect things, but also, you know, this was handmade. It's sound. It absolutely will hold up to trinkety stuff. It'll sit next to your bathroom sink perfectly fine with no issues. They just aren't 100%, you know, flawless or anything. But I would love to know what you guys think. I would really like to see if any of you make stuff like this, because I hardly see things like this at craft fairs anymore, I feel like. You know, and how do you feel about one day me diving into the manufactured stuff? Because I'm really excited about things that could have my art on them that I know I can't make. Things like lanyards and canvas tote bags and things like that. But anyway, drop your comments below. Make sure you guys give this video a like, and please don't forget to subscribe. We're so close to 500, and I'm doing a great big giveaway, and I cannot wait to see who gets that. And yeah, I'm just excited about the season coming up. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.